Hey, what's going on, Dusty Hikers? Alan here again. I have a new shoe to show you. I recently tested 5 shoes against each other, and this shoe was one of those shoes. So it is the Vasque Satoru Trail LT. This is a wonderful shoe. It's one that I'm glad that I purchased, even though it's not my top choice among those 5 for my next hiking shoe. It is a wonderful shoe to wear. And so we're gonna just talk about this shoe today and go into all of the experience that I had over the last month with this shoe, walking and hiking in it, and also all of the testing that I did and how it performed against the 4 other shoes. So Vasque set out to make a super light, super awesome trail shoe that could work either on the Pacific Crest Trail or just on the asphalt path around your local park. So Satoru means to know or knowledge in Japanese, and so we're gonna see today whether they hit that mark or not. And again, I'm just gonna share with you all the results that I gathered over the last month. I spent a month in these shoes. I walked about 25 miles. The first time I walked in them, I walked about 8 miles. I got 2 blisters on each heel. We'll talk about that in a minute. I also tested them for grip, protection underfoot, time to dry, and comfort. And we'll talk about how they stacked up against the other shoes. So first off, I want to talk about grip. The sole on this shoe is amazing. The sole is called the Vasque exclusive Vibram Ethereal Light Base with Mega Grip compound. So I tested these shoes against 4 other shoes in my garage for grip. What I do is I hang from a suspension strap trainer and I back my feet out. I'm like, my body is at an angle, and I back my toes out until I slip, and then I come back up to the point where I don't slip, and then I mark that down and I compare those shoes against the 5 other shoes, and these shoes actually won. So they have a very interesting sole. I don't know if I'm sure you can see that, but they have these really tiny micro lugs. And just Mega Grip in general is just, for me, it's just like the industry standard. If you want a super grippy sole, Mega Grip from Vibram is the way to go. All of the Mega Grip shoes that I've had are just super grippy. The first time I had Mega Grip was on the Mountain 600 hiking boots from Danner, and I hiked all over Peru in those, and they were perfect. I mean, that Vibram Mega Grip sole is amazing. This is a different type of sole than the one I had in the Mountain 600, but it's the same compound. So the midsole is made from a Endurolast EVA. EVA is just ethylene vinyl acetate. It's just foamy and spongy, basically. The midsoles are awesome. They're extremely comfortable to walk in. They're quite flat. This is also a 0-drop shoe. So if that's what you're into, this might be a shoe you want to consider. It's not super cheap. I bought this for $150 on rei.com. You can check out a link in the description if you're interested in pricing. I have a link to Amazon. They are extremely comfortable. The footbed is very, it's almost like reactive to your foot. There's not a lot of arch support, but it's just wonderful. Another thing over the last month is I would wear these for an entire day, and at the end of the day, I didn't even want to take them off. So that's how comfortable these shoes are. So even if you're not looking for a shoe like this as a hiker, I would recommend considering these shoes if you just want something very comfortable in an office environment that's semi-casual. Right? You could wear these. You could get away with wearing these with slacks or something like that. But and then that's what I'm going to do. I'm moving to Italy in 2 weeks, and I'm probably going to wear these to work most days. Just walking around Florence and being in my office. The uppers are a yarn mesh with a thermoplastic urethane. They're very interesting. So it feels kind of like a cloth weave almost. They do have a toe cap here, which is it's kind of like a soft to hard plastic, and then they also have something here on the back, which is more of a hard plastic. But they're extremely lightweight. So these one of these shoes I weighed, this is a size 12, was 0.73 pounds, and the next shoes that I tested, the next closest one was like 0.86 pounds just for one shoe. So these are extremely light, and you'll notice that when you pick them up. It's very, very light for a hiker. Much lighter than any of the other shoes that I tested. Vasque calls this footbed the anatomical high rebound footbed, and I think that's an interesting way of putting it, but that's pretty descriptive. That's kind of what you feel like, an anatomical high rebound footbed. That's very accurate. That's what it feels like. It's amazing. Hey, as always, if you're finding something useful in this video, please consider hitting like. Also, this is not the shoe that I chose after testing 5 hiking shoes. That was a different shoe. So if you want to figure out which shoe that is, you need to go check out my video. I think it's called I Tested 5 Hiking Shoes and Picked a Winner. I just recently posted it on my website, on my YouTube channel, so you'll be able to find it there. Thank you. Okay, another test that I did and where these shoes performed very well was time to dry. So what I do is I take the dry weight, which in this case was 0.73 pounds for one shoe, and then I dunk all of the shoes in water for like 5 seconds, shake off the excess water, and then just weigh them at their maximum wet weight, so the percent gain of water weight from their dry weight, and then I just put them out in the sun and I weigh them every 60 minutes. These shoes performed second best in that test, so they dried out faster than all the other shoes except for one, which was surprising. But I think that might just be a function of how lightweight they are and how little material there is, which I think is amazing with this shoe. The fact that they're so lightweight and yet so incredibly comfortable and cushiony is a testament to the engineering that Vasque put into these shoes. Okay, another test that I did with all 5 of these shoes is comfort. So I had 5 different categories. Those were, are they out of the box ready? Are they comfortable after wearing them for an entire day? Does the heel slip? Do the laces work? And is the footbed comfortable? So these shoes were the second most comfortable shoes that I tested. They're extremely comfortable, but they lost points simply because the first time that I wore them, I walked, I think it was like 8 or 9 miles, and I got blisters on both heels. So the way that they built this heel back here, it's just relatively straight like this. Normally, shoes would have kind of like a bucket or a cavity back here for your heel bone, but these don't have that. Now, after having worn them for a month, I don't have that problem anymore. My heels have adapted, but I wouldn't say they're out of the box ready. I would be cautious in just purchasing these and then just going on a multi-day hike. Okay, the last test that I did with these shoes against the 4 other shoes was protection. They performed very, very poorly on protection. In fact, they were the worst shoe of the 5, and that's just a function of the way that they're built, right? So this outsole is extremely thin, and the midsole for a hiker is also quite thin. It's very comfortable, but it just doesn't provide a lot of protection. So when I did the head-to-head comparison by stepping on a rock, these shoes lost to every other shoe. Every other shoe that I had tested provided more protection than these shoes did. And I think that the same would be true for the uppers as well. So I didn't really test the uppers for protection, like if you're going off trail or something like that. But these shoes, just because of how light they are, they're just not going to provide as much protection anywhere. So this brings me to kind of like my final synopsis on these shoes. I think that they're wonderful shoes. They're quite expensive. They're very lightweight. They're extremely comfortable. But they were designed to be able to be like a thru hiker or just to walk around town. The other shoes that I tested, there were at least 2 or 3 that I would pick over these if I was going to do a thru hike. I am planning on doing a 5-day thru hike after moving to Italy. It's called the Way of the Gods, or La Via degli Dei, where you walk from Bologna to Florence. And it just happens that the trail, when it comes out to Florence, it comes out in the neighborhood that I'll be living in. So I could just detour and just go home at that point instead of walking all the way to the Duomo downtown. But these are not the shoes that I would choose for that sort of a trip. Just because of the lack of protection, I'd just be too concerned about stepping on a rock and then having a bruise on the bottom of my foot, which causes me to either have to stop hiking or wait a couple days. There's other shoes out there that are almost nearly as light. In fact, the winner that I chose in that video was almost as light as this shoe, but just provided a lot more protection, and it is also at least as comfortable as these shoes, and also has a Vibram sole. So that is my quick review of the Satoru Trail LT from Vasque. I think that they're wonderful shoes. I'm definitely going to keep wearing them, but I'll probably wear them more like walking to work or walking my dog and that sort of thing, and won't wear them as much on trail. All right, thank you. I will see you guys in the next one.